What's going on, guys? It's Shaka Judah, and we are here Thursday at 8 o'clock. And the goal here is to help you all get more information on relationships. So I brought in one of the best coaches on relationships that I know, Kevin O, and I'm waiting for him to kick in that request, and we'll go live together. Let's see here. If I give a poke. Okay.
Yeah.
There it is.
What's good, brother?
Hey, man. Good morning.
Good evening from Bali. How are you?
I'm doing well. So I'll introduce myself, and then I request that you introduce yourself as well. My name is Shaka Judah. I am a personal freedom coach. I help people to quantify and amplify their quality of life. And you are?
Yeah, grateful to be here, Shaka. It's Kevin Orris. I'm many things, speaker, performance philosopher, and mentor to people that want to increase their polarity in relationship, attraction, desire, and also really level up their business in the same way.
I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. I found you through Ronnie Landis's Instagram page. I noticed that you all had done a podcast together, and I really look up to Ronnie. I love his story, and he's been that big brother to me when I really need to reach out to someone. So I appreciate you being able to show up.
Yeah, I love Ronnie, man.
I sent a poll out to my audience as a personal freedom coach, just taking a market view and seeing what people needed the most help with, asking what affected people the most in their lives. And over 57% of people said that it was a relationship.
Makes sense.
And I want to ask you why you think that is. What is it about relationships that's been affecting us so deeply?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I wrote a post on this, my morning, 12-ish hours ago. Not everyone is called to be an entrepreneur, start $1 million business. Not everybody's going to be a great artist or musician, right? Not everybody's going to be, a leader of some community. But everybody will fall in love with someone, and everybody's going to experience an intimate relationship. So it's something we all experience, and it's at the core. If you imagine your life as like a bunch of concentric circles, right? Like you, and then like your relationship to God or divine, and then your beloved, and then your family and your tribe and your community and your city, the nation. It's at the core, it's at the center. So there's no way to not be affected by it. Whether you're single and you want to find love or a beloved, or whether you're in a relationship, married with kids, whatever, it's going to affect literally every aspect of your life.
Yeah, I really feel that, man. I really feel that. And I was wondering if you could describe for people what is feminine and masculine polarity. How is that something that you were able to come into?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it came through pain and, experiencing the opposite of that, which I think a lot of people, that's how they figure something out. It's like, fuck, what's going on here? So for me, it was being in university, playing out the whole, I'm going to find one woman, she's going to be my wife, we're going to have kids, white picket fence, American dream, blah, blah, blah. And I found out that she had been cheating on me in college and just completely devastated my reality. And I realized we were like codependent, and I was completely in this, basically reverse polarity. Like I was in my feminine. I was kind of waiting around for her to do the thing, and, falling into this kind of passive role with that, because that's all I've been taught, right? I looked at my parents, I look at society, etc. And so what I discovered, I actually found it through Qigong and Mantak Chia and like Taoist Tantra, is there's a whole, lineage of thousands of years. Look at Hinduism, look at Taoism, look at the Vedas, look at, it's even in the Kabbalah and Judaism, it's in Christianity too, of this divine union or the alchemy of masculine and feminine. And more specifically with polarity work, and many will be familiar with David Data or John Wineland, there's a core principle to humanity, which we can call masculine and feminine, and this isn't about man or woman. These are energetics. Now, most men are mostly masculine energy and most women are mostly feminine energy, but some people have the opposite. And same-sex couples or non-binary people will also manifest this. And they're types of ways of being, basically. They're energetics. You can think about it like physics. So masculine energy is very decisive. It's very strategic. It's mental. It's consciousness, presence, and decisiveness, right? It's a leadership and structuring principle, right? Think about the sun. And the feminine is, it's corollary. They're complementary. They're not always opposite. The feminine is more receptive. It's sensation. It's feeling. It's emotionality, and it's nurture, and it's nature itself, right? It's the Shakti. It's that life force. And so these energies are very important to understand inside yourself, because we all have both. And then if you're dating or you want to be successful in a relationship that's charged, intimate, sexually alive, you're going to need to understand this in a relationship scenario too, with two people.
I really appreciate how you bring that back into dating, because for me, that's what it's all about. Like, if I've got feminine and masculine in me, that's cool. But I noticed that sometimes when dating, I can experience like a shift. Like, I can feel more in my feminine, or I can feel more in my masculine. And I'm wondering, as a business owner, at what point should I commit to a relationship, knowing that being in a relationship kind of puts me at risk of affecting my norm, if that makes sense?
Sure. I mean,
what point should I jump off that diving board?
yeah, I mean, that's a very personal question. That's going to depend on you and where you're at in your life, right? And this is the whole idea of commitment, or when do you create a container or create the relationship as, I'm committing to you and now we're partners, and whatever that's leading to. And that's where you got to be clear. What kind of relationship do you want? Do you want to, get married, have kids? Do you want to, be with somebody long-term and build a life together, basically be partners in life? And for some people, maybe it's more casual. They want to explore what they like, or explore, different aspects of dating. And so that tends to be a very masculine choice, is, okay, I'm going to commit to this woman, let's say, and enter a container with her and create that, and there's this idea. I read this on someone's post the other day, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if it's true, but men, or the masculine, are gatekeepers of the relationship. So they create the relationship by basically saying, hey, we're doing this, let's become partners. Whereas women, or the feminine, are the gatekeepers of sexuality. So they're basically like, okay, I'm going to allow, the sexual space to open, or the intimate space. And these two are like yin and yang. They're deeply connected. And you can have one without the other, obviously. You can just be sleeping with someone, but you're not in a relationship. Or you can be committing to someone and you haven't had sex yet, right? And so this is kind of a very personal question on when you decide to enter a container. Because you're right, it's definitely going to affect your business. It's going to affect your thoughts, feelings, emotions. It's going to affect your whole life.
Yeah. Man, that's a perspective that I hadn't thought about it from. Like, I always, I felt that declaring where I would want a relationship to go so early on, right? Like, if you meet someone, you get excited about them and you say, like, I want to create a container with you. I hadn't considered kind of mapping out the intentions of that container. If you do go about that, how do you view what goes on next? Like, are there checkpoints? You can tell how masculine I am. Are there checkpoints? Are there like plans that you make to ensure that you're kind of staying consistent? do you say something when you begin to deviate, or do you just stay into free flow? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is going to
What you're
be
saying would make me feel much safer. Like if I had a plan, I feel like a
right.
lot of people would feel that. But let me know.
Totally. This is going to depend on where you're at in life, what your goals are, and what your desire is. And obviously, if you're entering a conversation with a partner, you need to have a direction, right? This is the masculine principle. Where are we going? What's the objective? Do you want a multi-year relationship that could lead to marriage and a family? Or are you more just exploring and it's casual? You need to be very clear with that. And so there's a decision that has to be made, and often it's the masculine. Now, this isn't to say that, female bodies, women, don't have their masculine. They might have their own decision and their own objectives and checkpoints, right? What I find is many women, clients, friends, people I've talked to, they want to be claimed. They want to feel chosen. And I think any female or feminine being will, maybe let us know in the comments here how good it feels to be chosen or claimed. And so the
Mm,
masculine partner in that dynamic has to be like, hey, I want to be with you, and here's what we're doing. Here's our goals, right? You're setting the objectives or the map for the container. And if you don't know, maybe you aren't sure what you want, that's okay, but you need to be very open about that. This is where open communication is huge. You need to be very specific about what you're available for, what you're not. You need to be very specific on, do you want to be exclusive or are you still dating around? You need to be specific around what the boundaries of the container are. And these are the
mm,
agreements or the communications you need to have ideally as soon as possible, as soon as there's desire and sexuality in the space. These things have to be spoken to.
mm. I'm noticing the significant percentage of women in the stream, and I wanna ask a question from the feminine. There are times when I'll hear that the woman is always like more so in her masculine, like whether it be in the sense of planning or in the sense of creating structure. And this is especially consistent today, given that women are becoming more powerful. They are getting more connected to the masculine realm of developing businesses and creating their own way. What advice could there be for men and women going into relationships and recognizing these new polarities? Not necessarily new polarities, but new mindsets when it comes to relationships.
Totally. I mean, this is really the value of understanding polarity or attraction and this magnetic dynamic is, yeah, both partners have both. So if the female partner is an entrepreneur or a business person, yeah, they're going to need their masculine to handle business, right? And make decisions and have strategy and go after something. And the male partner or the masculine will also have their feminine. So they're feeling and sensing, and there's a vulnerability there. And so you have to navigate that together. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is be able to take radical self-responsibility. Here's what I'm feeling, here's where I'm at, and I'm noticing you're feeling this, X, Y, Z. And there's so many different dynamics that play out, but what you're going to have at some point is a masculine and a feminine pole. Think about a battery. You got a positive and negative side of the battery. It's bipolar. We live in a dual universe. It's duality. This is a natural law or a part of metaphysics. You can't escape it. So you have two masculine energies. They're going to compete. They're going to try to out alpha each other or over strategize. There's not polarity. You don't really want to fuck if that's happening. If you have two feminine energies, it can be kind of chaotic. Everything's shifting based on mood. It's kind of like weather or a storm. It's just emotional, and it's not really able to have a direction. So one partner is going to have to step up and enter the masculine energy to structure the space, and one partner is going to have to hold the feeling space of the feminine. And that can change for sure, but most people, most places are going to have one that they're dominant in. And it's about owning that and being that in the relationship, really embodying it.
Mm. So as a masculine, when a woman is in her masculine, is it a situation where I would yield, or is it a situation where I would kind of give her space? And I've kind of tried both, but I'm not sure which one leads to the longer connection. Like my goal is to have a life partner. So like if a woman is in her masculine, sometimes I want to support, sometimes I want to come from a place of love and flow into my emotion and just be available for her. But honestly, sometimes doing that too much can just make me want to break off. You know what I mean? Like I'm a dude, I need my structure. I need my, I need to know that I'm powerful. So I need to pull back and separate.
Yeah, I mean, this is a question I've heard hundreds of times, and the facts of the matter are, I'm imagining for you, a man who probably feels the most comfortable in his masculine, you want to hold that pole in the relationship. That's one thing if you're both working, right? If you're in your business, you're working during the day, that's fine. You can both be in your masculine, hustling, doing the damn thing. Great. But when you come together and you're on a date, or you want to go to bed, or you want to decide, where to go to eat, or you want to make financial or life decisions, you're going to have to polarize into masculine and feminine. And so for a lot of women, they struggle, and I see people saying, single mothers or entrepreneurs, they struggle shifting or transitioning back into their feminine and being receptive and surrendered and opening as love, radiating that juicy feminine energy with a masculine partner. And likewise, as a man, you can want to go into support and maybe be more receptive and support her and lift her up. And that's awesome. But then when you want to go and have a sexually charged space, or you want to create leadership in the relationship, like, hey, this is where we're going, this is what's going to happen, you're going to have to repolarize. So you're going to have to come into your masculine, she's going to have to come into her feminine, most likely. You can do it the opposite way. I mean, you can talk about like dominance and submission and, that kind of space. You can talk about sexually, you can flip. But like you said, a lot of people are going to struggle with that because it's not natural for them and it's not actually going to be sustainable to do that. So at some point, you're going to have to come to and this is all about communication. I'm not saying that everyone needs to be, heteronormative. Some people will thrive where the woman's in the masculine and the man is in his feminine. Maybe he's a stay-at-home dad or something like that. That's great. I've seen it. It can work. For the vast majority of people, though, this is going to create issues. And that's why like studying this stuff, understanding it inside yourself, is going to make you more successful in a relationship.
Yeah. I really appreciate that. I'm thinking through like moments where a partner would come home, right? And she's just got done with her business meeting. She's just got done doing inventory. And here I am at the door with flowers going, "Hi, honey, I'm ready." And it makes me think like one of the things that I tried to do is give an hour. Like you're not going to go directly from work to being able to go on a date. You're not going to be able to go directly from work to being able to fall right into, lovey-dovey mode, unless I'm in lovey-dovey mode, and I'm not always comfortable with that. What do you feel about that tactic? Is it kind of specific to each person, like giving an hour after that the feminine is going to be deep in her masculine so that she can knowingly transition? I almost feel like if people know these two polarities, they're going to be working on them, but the strategy involved may leave both of you in your masculine and too analytical. So I was wondering what you felt about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great one. And, my partner, my queen, is amazing at this, and she teaches women with this. And it's all about the transition ritual. There has to be an hour, great.
Transition ritual.
If you're coming home or you're repolarizing, right? So work is done, you're done with the day, you want to, have sex or go on a date or, be together. You have to take time to make that transition. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it's not a bad thing, but it's just how it is. The man who's been in his masculine leading business, boom, 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 boom. Now you have to come home and lead the relationship too. Some men just want to come home, crack a beer, you know, watch Netflix, whatever, you know, smoke some ganj, whatever. They want to go into their feminine and just fucking relax, right? And then the woman's kind of like, you know, who's leading us? You know, what's going on? So they stay in their masculine and try to lead. And then it obviously can create friction. Whereas the woman, if she's crushing it, you know, she's a coach or she's a nurse or a single mom, whatever, you know, she's going to have to come out of her feminine. And this can look like many, many, many things. It's going to be personal to you, but this can look like, you know, dressing up sexy. It can look like massage or yoga or moving out of her mind and into her body, into her heart and her womb. And she's going to have to take care of that. I mean, you can do it together, but there has to be some kind of transition so you can come back into that magnetic charge. And so you have to do this consciously, because if you just, you know, just go straight in without thinking about this, you'll encounter those moments where there's arguments or fights, or it's not really clicking. No one really wants to have sex because the energies haven't reset. And we have to consciously do this because, let's face it, we live in a world that prioritizes masculine energy, and not like divine masculine. It's just like hustle. Drop your feelings, go make that paper, you know, just hustle, shut it down, mental, everything, to-do list, boom, 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 boom. And that's great until it's not. So you have to find a way to move into a space of awareness together so you can actually create that, you know, that juicy energy that we all want.
Yeah. I think, let's see here. We're at 21 minutes. I really appreciate your time. I want to ask one more question. I want to ask one more question for those people who go out into the dating world and they're excited and they're finding hope and they're having these amazing experiences with people. I want to ask about the honeymoon period. We all know that puppy love initially in relationship, its potential to fade always exists. And I want to give people hope here. When you feel that honeymoon period coming to an end, what things can you do on the individual level to add a little bit of glue, add a little bit of concrete, you know, put that thing back into the forge so that it lasts a little bit longer into maybe even a second honeymoon stage?
Yeah, I mean, honeymoon phase has been studied a lot. You know, there's this whole idea in like psychology, it's 6 to 9 months. It's when everything's new and there's sexual attraction and like you're basically new together. So it's just easy, right? It's just lovey-dovey. And that's great. That's a pattern. I don't actually believe that it has to end. And, you know, I've experienced this in my own relationship, and I've experienced this with clients where through conscious intention and practices and shadow work mainly, you can continue to keep falling in love with each other. Because, you know, think about couples that have been together for 20 years, 30, 40 years, that are happily married and still, you know, very attracted to each other. They've had to come up against all their past trauma from past relationships, their sexual stuff they get hung up on, or the emotional vulnerabilities that, you know, we just aren't taught in our lives. So at some point in a relationship, the honeymoon phase is an opportunity, because you can be very bonded and intimate, but when it ends or it starts to shift and all your shit starts coming up, most people will just move to the next relationship, right? They'll break up or something will happen. That's an opportunity. If you're actually committed and you're in, you have to start up-leveling your communication. And that's going to be very based on ownership and self-responsibility, you know? And it's also going to be based on creating a space where you can thrive together in a village. So the man, you need to be around men. You can't spend all your time together lovey-dovey puppy love. You need to go join a men's group. You need to go to martial arts. You need to go be with men and be with the hunters, right? This is that primal polarity, you know, the hunter-gatherer dynamic. You need to go with the hunters. The woman, same. She's going to have to go be with her sisterhood, women's work, be with other women to recharge, get perspective, and then you're going to have to come together and navigate new agreements together. So if you have awareness and you're doing your self-work, which includes facing your shadow, you can continue to navigate and you'll hit these plateaus and then you'll break through. And the honeymoon phase can keep going, because think about it, like it takes years to know someone and you never really know them. There's so many sides to a person. So if you get stuck in a rut or a pattern, and the desire fades, it's an opportunity. You got to dig deeper. You got to excavate. You got to move through that with awareness, and it's going to be an inside job. You know, there's no quick fix.
There's no quick fix. No better phrase to end the podcast on relationships. There's no quick fix, but it's the work. The work makes me happy. It's the work involved. It's the patience. It's the art of the dance, and staying in the hot water sometimes when it gets a little bit too hot, and just appreciating the journey with another person and learning the polarities. Absolutely learning the polarities. Did you have anything in closing, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, man, I really appreciate you inviting me. And, you know, if you want to learn more about this, you know, reach out to me, reach out to Shaka, whoever's listening. You know, this is an art and a science. There's biology and evolutionary psychology that has informed our mating for millions of years. That's why we're here, because we're the succession of thousands of partners that successfully mated and, you know, and did it, even if they did it in a messy way. So there's rules, there's principles. It's also an art form. So you have to develop yourself into a good partner, right? Don't ask, oh, where's my partner? Where's the beloved? Ask, am I being a good partner? Am I being a good beloved? And you have to learn that art form, right? It's not just lovemaking. It's, you know, your triggers, your emotions, how you deal with them, how you express them, your patterns and how you communicate them and get your needs met and really, you know, nurture that inner child. And also how you show up for the partner. And you're going to have to do that in a negotiation. You're going to have to do that in a collaboration. And if you can be transparent and radically vulnerable in that process, you're going to reap the rewards. And it's so beautiful when you see it.
Yes, indeed. It's the most beautiful thing that can exist, especially with people. Kevin, thank you so much. Thank you for taking this opportunity. I'm super excited to share more of this information with my clients, put more of this information on the social media, and continue the path of helping others heal. Have a fantastic Thursday, my friend. Auf Wiedersehen.
Oh, brother, thanks so much.